detecting a massive object emerging from hyperspace.
So, if you're anything like me, then during this quarantine, you're probably out of work, out of school, and without many people to talk to. And contrary to popular belief, there is a lot of cost-effective ways to enjoy Star Wars specifically in this time of global pandemic. So while you're stuck at home, you might consider trying any of these 5 options. Many of these options will also have many sub-options that can go on for hours and days at a time. So these are my personal top 5 recommendations. We'll be going in order from most expensive to most inexpensive. The last 3 options will actually be free. The first 2 will involve a little bit of money, but they will certainly not be a lot of money compared to a lot of other activities. The first option is probably the most obvious and certainly the one that I think a lot of people that don't already have it probably won't get it, but Disney Plus is definitely a cost-effective way to enjoy this quarantine. Coming in at only a few dollars a month, $70 for a total year, it's certainly something that is actually very affordable. I paid a lot more for a lot less in terms of streaming service, especially with stuff like Netflix and everything. I mean, honestly, what are you still doing with Netflix? What are you watching still? The Office? That's actually probably a pretty good reason to still keep it. But anyway, Disney Plus offers a lot, and especially coming May the 4th next week, we will be getting the conclusion to the Star Wars The Clone Wars series. All Skywalker Saga movies will be available on the platform, along with a bunch of featurettes for The Mandalorian. Aside from that, you have the actual show The Mandalorian, some of the anthology movies, Rebels, and if you have any kids, you've got Star Wars Resistance and Forces of Destiny. Point is, there's a lot of Star Wars stuff to enjoy on the platform, along with a lot of obviously Marvel and anything else that they have like Pixar or the original Disney movies. But again, I can understand if you don't already have it, I do obviously recommend getting it, but it might be out of the cards for a lot of people as it is still a pretty big obligation to pay $70 for an entire year. But you can obviously try it for a month free, as with all other streaming services, so I'd recommend it especially for this quarantine. The next option is obviously a lot more affordable to a lot of people. If you have a computer, which I'm assuming many of you do, and as long as you really don't have a Mac, which, why on earth would you ever get an Apple computer? They're terrible. Then you need to go online and download Steam, which, as many people know, is basically a service that, provides you games, you pay them money. And if you search up Star Wars in the store, you'll actually find that every single video game that has ever been released on any major platform is available to you for less than $20, some less than $10. The only game that is the exception to this rule is the recently released Jedi Fallen Order, which is still full priced at $59.99. However, every other game is there, although the 2 most recent Battlefronts are not there. However, the 2 older Battlefronts are there, each for less than $20. There's also Force Unleashed, Knights of the Old Republic, Jedi Academy, every game that you could possibly want, even the obscure ones like Jedi Republic Heroes, the Clone Wars game. There's a lot to offer and there's a lot to get. I think I'm actually going to personally re-download Republic Commandos and play it again, especially, it's not like I have anything else to do. But if you're looking for a cost-effective way to enjoy hours at a time, then Steam Star Wars video games, the kind of older classic ones, are certainly something that I would consider downloading. Again, they're super cheap. $20 for some less than $10. It's definitely a cost-effective way to enjoy hours of time in quarantine. Moving on to our next option, we have Star Wars The Clone Wars. Certainly an interesting thing. A lot of people think, well, all the episodes are on, Disney Plus. That's actually not entirely true. There's still 4 episodes of Star Wars The Clone Wars in their unfinished animation available on YouTube and on StarWars.com. They're entitled Crystal Crisis. The events take place sometime between Season 6 and Season 7. And of course they are in their unfinished animation, but they're fully voiced and fully sounded. The only thing that it's missing is the final touch-ups on the animation. I know that seeing episodes in their unfinished form can turn a lot of people away. This kind of came up whenever I started talking about Bad Batch when it was mid-production. People complained about spoilers, and I said these episodes have been out since 2015, and a lot of people said that they didn't want to watch unfinished forms. But I have to say, we have no news whatsoever about these episodes, Crystal Crisis that is, actually being fully animated. So to any naysayers, I say, what do you possibly have to lose? Watch it before the final episodes of the Clone Wars comes out, so that's not the last image that you have of Clone Wars in your head, but it's 4 good episodes that expands on Anakin and Obi-Wan's relationship, and serves as Anakin's development going into the Siege of Mandalore, just the same as the Rafa Martez Rafa and Trace Martez episodes served to develop Ahsoka, and Son of Dathomir to develop Darth Maul before the Siege of Mandalore and their big convergence. General Grievous is in these episodes as well, and yes, he does not actually see Anakin, though he does see them, but they don't get close enough to recognize one another. However, I again do think these are great episodes. There's a lot of Easter eggs relating the Clone Wars to the Empire, with Easter eggs to the Death Star, and just future events that could happen, or obviously will happen, in the Star Wars universe. And it's really just a great thing to go into Episode 3, especially with General Grievous on Utapau. And again, while the animation is unfinished, I'd certainly recommend these episodes. They were the first 4 episodes that I saw after the original cancellation of Star Wars The Clone Wars. And I personally remember being ecstatic seeing these on YouTube, actually seeing there's more Clone Wars out there. Even if it's not fully animated, I will still watch it. And I certainly, again, recommend that you do as well. Keeping in this vein of Star Wars The Clone Wars, I'd like to also bring up Star Wars Clone Wars, that 2003 to 2005 Clone Wars animation. This 2D animation is absolutely amazing, and the micro series is actually very short. When you compile each of its individual episodes, as they're called, it comes to a length of 2 hours and 12 minutes, the length of a pretty standard movie, and it's actually very easy to watch. Where can you find this? On YouTube, of course. There's no need to go out to the stores and actually buy it. Simply look up Clone Wars 2003 full, and you can easily find several channels which have posted the video. Some are going to be in better quality than others, but it's an easy way to kill 2 hours. Maybe share an afternoon with some people who enjoy Star Wars in your family. It's unfortunately not canon, but again, it is a great micro series, and it serves as the original Clone Wars cartoon, chronicling the events between episodes 2 and 3. And like Star Wars The Clone Wars, the show that's going on right now, the events of Star Wars Clone Wars will end at the beginning of episode 3. So it is a great way and free way to enjoy some new Legends material if you haven't already seen it. And finishing our list is easily the best way, I think, to deep dive into the Star Wars expanded universe if you have not already, and that is online comics readings. I will be leaving a link in the description to the homepage of the site that I use to read comics online. Simply search up any Star Wars comic that you want. Do you want to read Son of Dathomir, something I've strongly recommended for a long time? It's there. The Darth Vader comic from 2015 that takes place in between episodes 4 and 5? It's there. How about the Darth Vader comic that takes place right after episode 3? It's there. You want to read the Thrawn comic version of the novel? It's there. You want to read any number of Legends comic material? It's all there. Simply look up anything that you want and read through it. I definitely recommend that you actually use either a tablet or a computer to look at this, as a phone will be a little bit difficult, but, to each their own. You can do whatever you want. There is no shortage of Star Wars comics that you can read, and it's really a great way, I think, for the fandom, especially in this time where we're all stuck at home, to really get into the Star Wars universe, to actually get a deeper look at the Star Wars universe, which otherwise many people wouldn't have. And since it's a free option, and all you have to do is put up with a few ads on the side of the screen, there's really no reason for you to not read comics. I mean, I understand that it kind of turns some people away from being childish, but there's some dark stuff in this comics, especially with Dr. Aphra. That comic series is just weird. But there's a lot of great stuff that you can look at. The Poe Dameron comic book story, some of the Knights of the Old Republic comic books, there's Legends and there's canon material there. It is literally a virtual library of comic books. And great thing is, let's say you don't really want to read Star Wars comics. Maybe you want to catch up on some modern titles. That's also possible. It has everything. This is not limited to just Star Wars. While I would obviously recommend reading Star Wars comics first, if you want to read Marvel, DC, Dark Horse comics, Image comics, you want to catch up on The Walking Dead, that's all there too. There is no reason for you to not check out this site, and there has never been a greater time for the Star Wars fandom to actually get into the comics. And I think that the Star Wars fandom would actually be far better off if more people read these canon comics which are out there. That's the reason that I saved this last item for last, actually, is because I think it is the best thing for you to do. There's an easy way to just waste hours of your day, and you're not going to feel like you're wasting it. You're going to feel like you're genuinely in the universe. There's a lot of great stuff. I certainly recommend it. I hope everyone stays safe out there. Stay at home. If you go out, you know what to do. You've already heard it all the time. I'm not going to beat it to death, but anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you again next time.